Welcome to the Severalnines product video, and today we're going to demonstrate you the monitoring aspects of ClusterControl. ClusterControl has the overview page, which gives you an immediate insight of what is happening inside your cluster. And you can see the number of queries that are running, what type of queries they are. You can match that against, for instance, the I/O taken by InnoDB, query performance, or even look at the replication lag. If you're missing a dashboard, it's easy to create a custom one by just simply taking a couple of metrics and put them against each other inside the same graph. And once we have closed this, we would have our example graph over here. Zooming in into a certain aspect is also relatively easy. We have a very fine granularity. So it will be very easy to see what is happening at a certain moment in time on your cluster and put that against, for instance, replication lag. Moving down, we see the topology of the cluster. We have the master nodes, we have the slave nodes. We can see that the master node is writable while the replicas are all read-only. We can see how far they are behind against the master. We can see the binary log position and how far they have been able to execute that. And then underneath that we have the other nodes in the cluster. So for instance here, this IP address is the ClusterControl node. If you would have, for instance, proxies, you would see that instead. Then we have the nodes overview, and this nodes overview gives you a similar view of the topology and of each and every node, but then every aspect in this page is about the node itself. So we can zoom in into the CPU usage graphs, we can look at disk usage, and we can even perform certain tasks here that are necessary for the health of the system, like for instance rebooting nodes or restarting nodes. We can even make one of the write copies the new master by promoting it as a slave to become the new master. Or we can rebuild the slave from scratch by taking a copy directly from the master and reattaching it to the master as a slave. Furthermore, we have other functionality like top, where we just fetch real-time what is happening on the system itself. We fetch log files that are necessary, for instance the MySQLD log, or in case of Galera we would get the Galera Arbiter log. And also the database performance metrics are presented here on an individual level. Then we have the query monitor. The query histogram is one of the features that we have, where we show in a similar fashion to PT Query Digest what are your queries doing, how long do they take, what was the maximum execution time, or if we go to top queries, switching this on might take a while before queries are coming in. We can see if they're using temp tables, execution time, etc. Then furthermore, under performance we have Clusterwide Metrics, where you would be able to zoom in into other aspects, and even here it's customizable by adding simply new columns and adding extra graphs if necessary. We have advisors. Advisors are small scriptlets that check your cluster against what we know as common issues that are happening inside the cluster. So for instance replication lag will be checked here, whether there's enough sufficient disk space, or the number of dirty pages is correct or not. We see a couple of warnings here that the current write set dictates a different setting of the InnoDB log file size, and that's it also suggests how you can change that. We have a couple of more schema advisors for my item tables, missing primary keys, that sort of stuff. Then we have, for instance, the database status and the database variables, where you can match every host against each other and see what the current settings are, if there are any discrepancies between any nodes in the cluster, which is very good to see. Furthermore, we have database growth, monitoring how quickly your database is growing. However, it needs to capture that on a daily basis, and since we just deployed this database today, it's very difficult to grab whatever is the comparison against what happened yesterday. Furthermore, InnoDB status, that's the direct output from InnoDB status. You can read it if you like to, but we are parsing those metrics at the same time and importing that into ClusterControl for monitoring. Schema Analyzer, similarly to the previously shown advisors that are checking for my ISM tables redundant indexes and give you advice if there are redundant indexes and how to remove them. And last but not least, the transaction log. Whenever there are deadlocks happening, we detect them, we capture them, we store them, and then for your insights, we will present them here. Like this and this time a deadlock happened, and this was the blocking query. Thank you for watching this video. I hope the demonstration of the monitoring of ClusterControl was clear to you. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them below or get in touch with us via the chat on Severalnines.com.